It's Heels on Wheels, the racing show by female racers, for female racers, about female racers, featuring female racers, with a few surprises thrown in. Heels on Wheels is brought to you by Renew Salon and Spa, Excelsior Racing, and Dragonflies and Nymphs Creation. And now, here are your hosts, Krista Elise, Taylor Hyatt, Gene Kinzer-Dana, Stacy Grammer, and Emily Gotti.
Thanks for tuning in to the Heels on Wheels radio program. I'm the executive producer, Taylor Hyatt, and we have an amazing show lined up for you today. We have two great ladies for you this week. First up, drifter and owner of JDM Girls, all the way from South Australia, Ricki-Lee Clarke. Then, former SEMA Businesswoman's Network Woman of the Year, Kellie Colf. Hear about the feud between Richard Petty and Danica Patrick? We did, and we have a lot to say about it. KDP is back with more from Beauty's Got Muscle. And as always, Chef Sizzling Scotty with another great grill and dish. So let's put those heels in drive and get this show on the road. Now, Diana, let's talk racing news. There's a lot going on in NHRA this week with their first event being last week into last weekend. Kind of some of it we expected with John Force winning his funny car opener and that kind of stuff. But there was a lot of stuff that we weren't really expecting.
You know, to be honest with you, it's interesting how you have things in between and then you end up with something that you are expecting. I mean, if anybody deserves it, it's definitely him. And then to see his daughters in his footsteps, is something really exciting too. I mean, I don't know. I don't even know. I know that there's a lot that's been going on, and quite honestly, I've been pretty transfixed by the Danica Petty throwdown. So, it's definitely been an interesting week indeed.
That's for sure. And sticking with NHRA, so John Force wins, which we all kind of expected. There was an NHRA funny car explosion. That happened on, I think, the first day, the opening day of the first event. And it's not something you see all the time, and we definitely don't like to see that kind of stuff. But, I mean, Diana, you're coming from that side of the racing. How does things like that even happen?
Well, I haven't heard the official report as far as, what caused that, to be honest with you. I don't know if it's been released or not. But in this day in racing, unfortunately, we're still going to have some issues, and it can be anything from equipment issues to manpower issues, something shorts. You still got problems. Of course, we should definitely be a lot farther along. We shouldn't be seeing so many things happening in the racing world like we have been. But unfortunately, you still got, nothing's perfect, and these things happen. I really couldn't tell you why it's happening. Don't know. And it'll be interesting to find out. That's for sure.
So, and I really hope I don't butcher her last name, but Alexis DeJoria, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
NHRA history's fastest woman currently. Mm-hmm. I mean, first of all, to have women in NHRA is awesome. Mm-hmm. I love it. I don't think I could ever do it, but that's besides the point. Right. And tell me, I'm not really too into the NHRA. I love it, watching it, but I don't know a lot of the terms and stuff like that. They were calling it the 3-second club that she's now in because she's, done this fast race down, and she's now in this 3-second club. I mean, that's awesome.
Well, she's pretty amazing. I mean, considering she came from beauty, and she could have, with her dad, John Paul DeJoria, and she could have gone the beauty route, but she took the tough route, hanging with the big boys, getting into the big club, and it's good for her. I mean, to get that kind of kudos and recognition, because we've come a long way, baby, but we still have a long farther way to go for sure.
Yeah, that's for sure.
You know who she's married to, right?
No.
Jesse James.
Is she? I did not know that.
Yes.
Good for her.
I think she's like the 16th Mrs., I think. Something around there.
Yeah. We may have to take a longer time for that conversation. But, yeah. So, all right. Out of NHRA, Formula One they've been doing a lot of changes in the last few weeks. First with the way the races are going to be and that kind of thing, with the change of the engines of the cars, and now they're changing their qualifying rules as well. Why do you think they're having so many changes so close to the beginning of the season?
That's a really good question. I mean, and from what I've gleaned from that, it's hard to tell if it's something that the federation as a whole is mandating, or if it's something that is because to maybe enhance the experience for fans. All I can tell you, wherever it's coming from, and of course you'll never get a straight story, but wherever it's coming from, hopefully it will help make it more exciting and bring more people into the sport. Back in the day, it was easy to get away with having things that weren't regulated on your car. But these days, they keep a really close eye on it, and probably there might be a reason for that we just don't want to tell us.
Yeah, I don't know. I love Formula One. I love watching it. I get up every Sunday morning bright and early, and that's what I do. I mean, I love watching Formula One. I'm just hoping they're not making too many changes to where people are going to be not as encouraged to watch it. But I read something interesting, actually. Formula One photographs were auctioned off, and they raised nearly $33,000 for charity for a children's fund. That's awesome that people are willing to pay that much money for pictures that, I mean, you can go and take yourself, really. And we had this discussion last week about professional photographers and stuff like that. But, it's awesome that they're doing that kind of stuff and raising money for charity, too.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a good thing. And, really, to be in any kind of sport, you got to have the money. And the money doesn't fly around like it used to, especially in sponsorship and in big business and corporate. But, bringing it all back to why are some of these changes with F1, a lot of it might have to do with politics. So, you still get politics involved. It's got the good, bad, and the ugly. The good is that it brings money, but the bad and the ugly, unfortunately, sometimes it brings changes that, us regular folk don't have any kind of a say over.
Yeah, that's for sure. So real quick, we're going to talk about the Richard Petty and Danica Patrick feud. We're not going to get into it right now. We don't have enough time for that, of course, but we are going to get into it, and there's a lot to say there. I want to mention NHRA has their Phoenix race starting the 21st, so not this week, but next week. There's not too much going on this weekend, actually. And then, of course, the Daytona 500 is that weekend as well, and I know a lot of people are looking forward to that. Tony Stewart should be able to be back in his car. A lot of people are saying Danica Patrick should be maybe a top runner. We'll see what happens there, but look forward to those two things in the next couple of weeks, and that's it for us right now for racing news. Let's go see what Scotty's cooking on the grill.
Well, thank you, ladies. And it is time for Sizzling Scotty here on Heels on Wheels. And ladies, it's cold out there, and we have to start thinking about getting rid of this snow and start thinking about getting back to that spring, getting back to that summer that we all love and enjoy. This winter's been hard on everybody all across the country, and friends in Florida, friends out in even out in Arizona have said that Arizona and New Mexico have said that it's cold. So we've got something that's going to put us in that summertime mood, and we've got really a great tailgate recipe here today. And this is a gazpacho, and I'm going to hold off on a secret ingredient till the very end to keep you ladies in suspense. So we're going to get into this. Is a very basic gazpacho soup, and it's a cold vegetable soup, nice on a hot day, very refreshing, goes great at the tailgate. A lot of people have sometimes requested this at the gate simply because it's handheld and cold soup is very refreshing. So let's get right to the ingredients list. Very, very simple. We're going to take 2 cups peeled and diced hothouse cucumber. Now you can use an English or seedless cucumber. We're going to peel that and dice it up into small chunks. We're going to take 2 cups diced red bell pepper. We're going to take 2 cups green bell pepper. And finally diced, corded out, seeds all removed. We're going to use 3 cups of diced ripe tomato. You want a nice meaty beef steak. A plum tomato works here really well. Half a cup of any of your favorite onion. You can use a red onion. You can use a Mayan, a sweet. 2 cups of tomato juice. half a cup of red wine vinegar, a third of a cup of extra virgin olive oil, and then we're also going to throw in one jalapeno, finely diced jalapeno, and we're going to cut that in half. We're going to take half of the white and half of the seeds all out of there, so we still get some of the heat with this, some heat with that nice cold soup. So we're going to prepare this now. We're going to place all the diced vegetables up into a large bowl, and we're going to add the tomato juice, the vinegar, the oil, and some salt and pepper, and mix that all together. And what I'd like to suggest you ladies is, and all of our listeners out there, is give that a little taste. Check what you've got going on to make sure that there's a nice, good, flavorful combination. We're going to set that to the side. Give that about 10 or 15 minutes for all those flavors to come together, for those vegetables to get nice and happy. And then what we're going to do is we're going to transfer half of the mixture to a blender or food processor, and we're going to pulse on and off so that it coarsely starts to puree the contents. We don't want it too fine, but we don't want it too big at the same time. We want there to be a nice little textural difference within our soup. We're going to return the pureed mixture to the bowl, and we're going to stir to combine, and we're going to refrigerate that. You can refrigerate it 4 to 6 hours, overnight, whatever is easy for you, and you can serve that up. Now, ladies, here's where we're going to throw in a little secret ingredient. You're at a tailgate. It's time to grill. So what we're going to do, we're going to grill up some shrimp. We're going to take anywhere from 16 to 20 shrimp, and we're going to prepare these ahead of time. What we're going to do is we're going to take 2 shots of tequila, and we're going to take, that's 2 ounces, 2 shots of tequila, and we're going to take 2 tablespoons of lime juice. And what we're going to do is we're going to put those in a Ziploc container, a Ziploc bag, or a Ziploc plastic container, and we're going to put those in there, and we're going to do this right when we're getting ready to serve this at the gate. Because when you marinate something in lime juice or any kind of citrus, it's going to actually, if you keep it in there too long, it's going to cook it like a ceviche. That acid is going to interact with the shrimp, and it's going to almost cook it. So we just want to marinate it for about 5 to 10 minutes. We're going to throw that shrimp on the grill. We're going to grill on each side for about 3 to 5 minutes. And then what we're going to do when you serve up that soup, plop a couple of shrimp down in there, and you've got a great gazpacho soup with some nice grilled shrimp in there that's going to give it some really some great pop and some great flavor. Serve this with a nice ice cold beer, some wine, some white wine would go great with this. So again, ladies, a very easy soup to prepare. We can find all our recipes and this recipe on my Facebook page, and that's Tailgate Grillin' with Sizzle and Scotty. Also on the Heels on Wheels Facebook page. Give us a like. You can also follow me on Twitter, and that's at Sizzle and Scotty. Tell us what you'd like to see on a future show. Ladies, thank you very much. I hope you enjoy our recipe for today, and we'll be back right after this break.
Before a disaster turns your family's world upside down, it's up to you to be ready. Get a kit. Make a plan. Be informed. Learn how at www.ready.gov. Brought to you by the Federal Emergency Management Agency and the Ad Council.
We're growing like crazy and need account reps who know their way around agencies, the internet, and social media. Got connections? Or do you know how to get to the decision makers? Are you fearless? We need you. Internet radio, or as we call it, wireless mobile radio, is rapidly becoming the place to be with almost limitless income potential. So contact us to get involved with the fastest growing professionally produced group of internet radio stations in the world. Your imagination is the only limit here. Call 717-749-0444. That's 717-749-0444. Or you can email us at scorpionradiogroup@gmail.com. You want to ask for Sue, shopping around for your racing gear, driving from store to store only to find they don't have what you want? Barter's Racing Collectibles on Black Gap Road in Fayetteville, Pennsylvania has it all. The hottest NASCAR, IRL, and NHRA diecasts, t-shirts, jackets, flags, and more. Everything racing. Stop by or check out their website, www.partnersracing.com, or call 717-352-2782. You'll be surprised at the selection, prices, and friendly client service. UPS, FedEx, and USPS shipping available. Farners Racing Collectibles. www.farnersracing.com or call 717-352-2787. Farners Racing Collectibles, where racing comes alive.
You got it locked to Heels on Wheels, the PerformanceMotorsportNetwork.com, a member of the Scorpion Radio Group. Now back to the women wearing the driver's helmets.
We're back with Heels on Wheels radio program, and I have drifter and owner of JDM Girls, Ricki-Lee Clarke, here with us to tell us a little bit about her story and how she got into drifting. Hi, Ricki. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I have Diana here with me as well, and we're really interested in how you got started in all this. And you're all the way from South Australia, so way far away from us. And we love talking to girls from, other places because racing is always different in different countries. And so why don't you start by telling us how you got involved in drifting?
It is different in all places, and it's different how it comes across. And unfortunately, like drift, when I started, wasn't so big in Australia, so it was more of a it was one of those sports that you didn't see much, like not on TV or anything. But I remember being involved in cars, like because I have my entire life, and I actually went to the news agency. This is the weirdest way to get involved, and I saw this magazine called Drift Battle, and I had no idea what it was, and I opened it up, and I was just in love just by photos, and then I just started going out to the local events, and just fell in love with the sport. It's an amazing sport. So so just out the back of a news agency is how I found drifting.
That's awesome. And from there, you just started. What was your first car? How'd you, have the ability to work on your car and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, well, I've always been interested in cars for like pretty much my entire life because my mum also did motorsport and sort of passed it down to me, and would always be out in the shed tinkering with her car. And I was into more of the local cars at first, which is like the Holden Commodore and stuff, which is like there's this feud between Ford and Holden here, like it's a big thing. And so people weren't really into imports, and I happened to see an S13 Silvia, and I really, really wanted it. I just thought it was a coupe. I had no idea. I was 15 at the time, and I said to my mum I had to have it. So I brought the Nissan Silvia, and then I just started learning what they were about, and so I just started playing with the Silvia, and it sort of went from there. I've actually had quite a few since then. So, yeah, it started from a Nissan Silvia, which is kind of the car of drift, in a way.
That's awesome. So from there, tell us about the blog and the website you have, JDM Girls. What's that all about?
Yeah, well, I started building cars, and I even imported some from Japan, and there was just real no outlet for me to just be able to show what it was all about, and I didn't have very many lady friends that were into cars, so I was always just hanging out with the guys, and I was just interested to see if there was more girls out there. I'd come across a few here and there, but I just wanted to know what the support was, and I couldn't find anything. And then when Facebook pages sort of become the new thing, I decided just to put a page and just see what sort of interest it would get, and it grew quite quickly, and I realized that there is actually quite a lot of girls into drifting and imports and just motor racing in general, and it really surprised me. So that's basically how it started. Like I created my blog as well, just to give support to the girls, because I think a lot are in my previous position where I just didn't know if there were any other girls involved, and I even had a lady recently tell me that she met one of her best friends through my blog because they had the same interests. So that's pretty much what it's all about, bringing girls together in the motorsport community.
That's awesome, especially when you hear stories like that coming, from people on your blog, and it's actually getting out there and getting into people's heads. And
definitely,
you and your husband actually raced together, correct?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we're actually building my drift car at the moment. So we have the one we built for him because he's a professional drifter here in Australia, and so we built that, and then now it's time to finish building my drift car, and we're going to start doing a husband and wife drift demo team.
That's awesome. What kind of race? I mean, I understand the drifting racetracks and stuff, but have you seen a difference between maybe our drift tracks here in America and the ones you guys have out in Australia?
Yeah, I do. It's crazy. Like, we always envy America because, like, America, it's massive over there, and the cars are always like the real top level. And not saying Australia isn't, but we kind of follow in your footstep on a lot of things. Especially with the whole V8 conversions. Like, I know that's a really big thing over there in America, and we didn't have that here for a long time, and now you see it in pretty much every second drift car there is a V8 in one, including our own. We put a V8 in our little K70 Corolla. And just, yeah, it's just the stuff that we follow from you guys, and the sponsors are really big over there, and it's something that Australia is trying to grow towards.
That's great. Ricki, this is Diana. I'm really excited to hear what's going on with you over there. You know, drifting, it's not huge, unfortunately, like I think it should be, because I can't even imagine the thrill that you get from that. It's got to be quite an adrenaline rush.
Definitely, and it has its moment. It's not as huge as I think it should be. Like, there's a lot of racing that's above it, and I think it's slowly getting there. But like over here in Australia, just like to give a sort of our story, over here in Australia, like, a lot of authorities class it as hooning, and hooning is just reckless driving on the street. So sponsors sometimes don't want to be associated with that. So there are a lot of people that don't want to be involved, and although it's an amazing sport, and when you're in the community of drifting, like, we try and promote it as an actual motorsports and say, look, we're not going out on the streets doing illegal stuff. We're actually paying to build our cars and paying to go to events on the track. But just with like some other sports like drag racing and stuff, it also gets that bit of negativity, which I think is what's stopping drifting from growing so much, especially here in Australia. I'm not sure if it's the same over in America.
So a little bit of an off-topic question, kind of. The Fast and Furious movies, especially the Tokyo Drift one, do you think those hurt or help the sport? I mean, because I'm sure they brought a lot of people into the sport that maybe really shouldn't have been doing it or didn't have the passion or experience to do it. What's your opinion on that?
I think it's a bit 50-50. Like, I think it brought a lot of good people into the sport. It brought some young people into the sport and going, oh, what's that? And drifts, like, there's plenty of room to grow in drift. But just like with every sport, if it's promoted in a way where it's cool or something like that, people will start doing it for the wrong reasons. And I think a lot of people do it for the wrong reasons, and do give the ones that are real passionate and put in all their time and money. It sort of puts a bad tinge on them. But I think it was great that Fast and Furious did that for a sport that's not so big. But yeah, I think it's not, I really think it's about 50-50.
All right. Well, Ricki, over here in America and also in Canada, it's really, really tough being a woman in a male-oriented profession, or even if it's just on the weekends for fun, such as racing. And I'm sure you experience that in drifting. I'm sure it requires just as much dedication, whether you're a man or a woman. And I want to ask you, if you were on your own, you didn't have your husband in it as well, do you think that you would get a lot more flack than you probably do? How much flack do you get right now, and how much harder do you think it is being, considered a quote unquote Sheila? Because I know that they're pretty hard on the women over there.
Yeah. It's growing a lot better. Okay, so before me and my husband met, and he's a professional drifter as well. So before we actually met, I was doing the whole drift thing probably about 6 years before him, and on my own. Like, I was building my own cars, I was taking myself out to track, and it's probably a bit different for me because I have that attitude where I know I'm in it for the right reasons. I know I'm doing it because I love it, and I sort of didn't care about any of the criticism. But you're right, like it is really hard here. Mainly because there are so many women, like, unfortunately, are not in it for the right reasons. So we sort of get painted with the same brush of, is she really in it for the attention, or is she in it to actually, do what she wants to do? And I think the best thing to do is just go do it, regardless if you're with a partner that does it, and it doesn't really matter what other people say, as long as you're having fun. And because it is hard being female, because you always get that, is she really doing it for the right reasons? Unfortunately, that's what comes up a lot here in Australia.
So quickly before we go here, I want to talk about the two types of classes that you and your husband hold. One is the kind of basic mechanic class, and then the other one's the drifting school. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
But with my JDM girls, I decided, once I created that and saw the interest, and I got asked by a lot of girls, like, how did you get involved in drifting? How did you, become a driver, and what car do I need? And so I decided to start up classes and at the local racetrack, and it basically, a lot of it is just for girls only, because I wanted to make them feel more comfortable and not have the pressures of having a male there. So what we were talking about before. And so I just go over everything with them and let them know what sort of the basic mods they need for their vehicles, and how to get involved. And we start off with little activities on like handbrake entry and all that kind of stuff. So I basically just have a real passion to show girls into the world of drifting, and I also teach a lot of girls mechanical stuff. So any girls are welcome to come to my shed, and I'll teach them how to do a service on their car, or I'll teach them how to do something. And I'm just really all for helping women do their own thing, get more involved in motorsports, build their cars, drive them, and just generally have fun with their passion.
That's awesome, and that's the same reason we're here doing what we're doing. So,
exactly.
Ricki, it's been really great talking to you, and I want to let everybody know they can find you at jdmgirls.net on the web, and also on Facebook under your name, and then also under JDM Girls. So make sure you check her out if you're over in that area of the world. And it's been great talking to you, and you have a lot of good stuff going on, and we're going to catch up with you soon.
Great. Thank you so much for your time, and I love what you do.
Thank you so much. This has been Taylor Hyatt along with Diana Clausen for Heels on Wheels Radio. We'll be right back after these messages.
Here's an important message from RAD and this station.
No words exchange, no time to exchange when all the little answer my train.
Hello, this is Dave from the Dave Matthews Band for RAD. When you go out and party, get drunk, then drive, you're not only loaded, you're a loaded weapon. When you celebrate, designate. Choose a designated driver. Remember, music lives, and so should you.
What would you say?
Media sales professionals with agency experience. If you're frustrated with your current position, unrealistic quotas, and inept management, if you're a sales machine and you simply will not take no as an acceptable reply, if you're looking for a rapidly growing company with unlimited sales potential for commissions in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, if you're searching for a high-tech, forward-looking, laid-back, but extremely professional organization who appreciate your skills and dedication, we have your next opportunity. Scorpion Radio Group is building a sales team of self-starters who are motivated. Your imagination is the only limit here. Call 717-749-0444 or email us at scorpionradiogroup@gmail.com. That's 717-749-0444. 0444 and ask for Sue.
On the air, you may know me as the man about motorsports. Actually, I've been the man about insurance for over 30 years. With one call, I can cover your life, health, auto, home, and business insurance. Recently, I saved a young couple over $500 on their annual car insurance bill. No gimmicks and no green lizard. So if you think your insurer is really your good neighbor who is on your side because he is holding your money in his good hands, think again. Call me, 703-631-8000. I have dozens of insurance companies waiting to give you the protection you need and deserve. It may take more than 15 minutes, but you'll receive sound advice, quality professional service, and an honest opinion. That number again, 703-631-8000. Ask for Larry Ellis.
Hi, I'm Mickey for Bed Bug Detection Services. Bed Bug Detection Services rescues dogs from the Humane Society and the SPCA, then trains them at the Florida Canine Academy. We then pair them up with a handler where they will spend the rest of their lives in a happy family home working in the community. We want to rescue our second dog, but we cannot do it without your help. We are fundraising to bring home our next canine. Please go to bbds.us, that's bbds.us, and do your part in helping us rescue another dog. bbds.us will give life, home, and a meaning to another dog. bbds.us. With every donation, you will receive a signed postcard from our current bed bug detection dog rescue, Lily. Go to bbds.us. And thank you.
This is Heels on Wheels on the PerformanceMotorsportNetwork.com. Now, back to the fastest ladies on four wheels.
Hey everyone, we're back with Heels on Wheels. This is Taylor Hyatt along with Diana Clausen. And Diana, I'm going to let you take it from here and introduce our next guest.
Oh, wow. This is a big honor for me. Oh, Kellie Colf of Colf Creative has been involved in motorsports or just cars in general most of her life. She is a huge inspiration to me, very big in SEMA Business Women's Network. Won Woman of the Year in 2010, has done so many amazing things in the world of automotive. She just blows my socks off. And I got to feature her a couple years back at a SEMA event where she was part of an all-female Mustang group where women came in, completely remodified and customized a Mustang, and that baby sold at SEMA. They got a whole bunch of money for the scholarships, and I'm just really excited to introduce Kellie Colf tonight.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing good. I'm so excited you're here tonight, and Taylor's on the line as well.
I'm excited to be here. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, we're very happy to have you. So why don't you start off and tell us how you even got involved in cars? Because, I mean, like Diana said, a lot of girls aren't involved with racing cars of any sort. So tell us just how you got started.
Well, actually, I think it's a little bit of a flaw in my genetics. I do not come from a family of car people. I was the only car person in my entire family, and for some reason, when I was about 13 years old, I became positively obsessed with them for no good reason.
You know, I love cars. I don't know a lot about them, but, you know, I know enough to handle my own, but I don't see a lot of girls just ready to get out there and know every single detail about a car. And
well,
from what
I don't
understand,
think it's for everyone.
Yeah, and from what I understand, you know a lot about a lot of different cars. So tell us about some of the projects that you've worked on.
Well, all sorts of things, starting way back. I said I got obsessed when I was 13. At 14, I bought my first car, which was a 68 Firebird with a 428. So that was a rather interesting first car to start out with, not coming from a car family, and it was a finished vehicle when I purchased it. But I learned an awful lot along the way with that car because I immediately immersed myself in the show and cruise night circuit. And that is the only thing I did through my entire high school years, was go to car shows, you know, work on my car, and of course you develop that culture where you've got all these friends, so everybody's working on everybody else's cars, and you learn a lot along the way, and then eventually I was lucky enough to manage to get a job in the automotive aftermarket, so that was even better.
So were the guys in your high school like kind of bummed out that you could probably do more than they could to their car?
You know, surprisingly enough, they were awfully supportive.
Really?
Yes, at least most of the people I ran into, and those who weren't all that supportive, I had a 428 behind me, so I just blew their doors off and ignored them.
There you go.
let this be a lesson to dads, all the dads listening tonight. You want to keep your girl out of trouble, get her interested in cars and let her know, well, there's some boys around, but, they're not going to be interested unless you put a lot of work into this car. And, that'll keep her busy at least till she's 18.
That'll keep her very busy. And it's also a good thing for dads who are listening. Get her a really hot car with a lot of horsepower. It'll scare off all the guys.
Exactly.
Oh man! Well, Kellie, I told them you were a fireball, and I know, it's so funny. When I first met you, I was just like, wow! I was just blown away because you've got all this talent and background and knowledge. But I was letting Taylor know how I'm just awed by how you can hold your own with the guys, and I think Kellie's. We were talking last week about how not to just say it, but to show them. And Kellie, I think you're definitely one of those women that just not only shows them, but blows their minds at the same time.
Well, thank you. And I think some of that comes from some of my profession, some of my career. Before I was in automotive, I used to sell and service what's called capital equipment, which is industrial metalworking equipment, like machining centers and lathes and those kind of things. And when it's your job that you as a female are forced, to go in third shift at GM and say, okay, guys, not only am I going to fix your machine, I'm going to train you how to use it. You learn how to get along with them very quickly.
I bet. So I want to hear more about what you're doing with SEMA, and tell us about this Business Network Woman of the Year. I want to hear all about it.
Okay. Well, thank you. And in 2010, I was awarded the SEMA Business Women's Network Woman of the Year Award, and it's an award that they give away once a year, obviously, to what they say, I guess, is an outstanding female and someone who's made a major contribution, within the last year. And the SEMA Business Women's Network is a committee within the SEMA organization as a whole. And the entire committee is all about promoting women and networking for women and helping women within the automotive aftermarket, because there are actually a surprising number of us out there.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I mean, I guess groups of women that all like racing kind of, group together and find each other. I think because we have to, because we can't really just go out and talk to any guy about this kind of stuff without them getting defensive almost.
It can be a problem, and one of the things the SEMA Business Women's Network tries to do is put together various events that allow women to network. They've got a networking breakfast they do at the SEMA show every year. They've also got a relatively new event that they do that's called Gear Up Girl, and in that one they bring in the veterans, if you will, the women veterans from the automotive aftermarket, and they also invite all of the female college students in the area and have them come in and speak to these women who've been there and talk about their experiences.
Wow, that's awesome.
It's very nice.
Tell us about your company that you also run, Colf Creative.
My company's rather interesting.
Aren't they all?
Yes. It kind of came about through a million different things I did over the years and a million different things that I learned, and I kind of packaged it all into one thing and started my own company. A lot of what I do, because a lot of my professional experience is in PR and marketing and that sort of thing. So I do a great deal of that, and my customers are only automotive aftermarket customers. I do not deal with anyone who's outside automotive. I only speak car. I also do web design and maintenance. I can do anything from, complete builds on websites, or if you've got a site and you just need it fixed up, I can hot rod the site for you. I do all kinds of sales and marketing, consulting, build special little project vehicles like that Mustang that I worked on. I've also got a ton of experience in events, so I included that also. And if someone's holding a show or an event of some kind and they need some kind of, assistance or consulting or manpower, I do that also.
Wow, you're kind of the whole circle of the racing industry.
I kind of do a little of everything. I have no hobbies. This is it. Cars are my life.
I think most of us like to think that, but, we have to go back to our, day job and racing for most of us is a hobby, even though we'd like to have it be more. I mean, I would love to get paid to go to the racetrack every weekend and sit there and spectate, but that's probably not going to happen. I also want to talk about, you write, was it a weekly or a monthly piece?
Monthly.
So you, on top of everything else, you're an author as well.
Yes.
Tell us about, what kind of stuff you write about and where it's published.
Well, at the moment, I have a current running gig in Performance and Hot Rod Business magazine, and once a month I write about a 4-page tech article, and every month, obviously, the subject matter differs. I have done freelance writing at more magazines than you can shake a stick at probably over the years. But primarily everything that I do is very, very technically related. I do some sales and marketing stuff, but usually it's more about product and usually more about tech.
Well, I can tell you, we have a blog set up on for Heels on Wheels, and we would love to maybe have you write a thing or two on there, not giving away too much before we make an agreement here, but we could make that work, I think.
I think that sounds very interesting.
So we have a couple of minutes left here. Why don't you tell people where they can find you, and if they'd like to use your services, where they can find those as well.
Okay. Well, the easiest way to find me is on the web, and my web address is www.colfcreative.com. You can reach me via email at Kellie, and that's Kellie, at colfcreative.com. My phone number is 716-725-3385, and I'm on Facebook at facebook.com/colfcreativeresources.
So one quick thing before we go. I'm sure you met, a few famous people in your day.
Yes, I met Diana.
Oh, okay, stop.
Woohoo! We know a famous person now.
Yay, Diana.
That's awesome.
Only in my own mind, girls. Only in my own mind.
Hey, that's good enough for us.
Thanks, Kel.
So, other than Diana, have you met anybody that, sparked a flame to, maybe interest you more into motorsports?
All of them. I've met my fair share of persons along the way, and the only thing I can say overall about everyone is we're the most rabid group of gearheads you'll ever meet, and they're all positively spectacular.
Absolutely.
Well,
Absolutely.
Kellie, I'm going to ask you, we're going to do our round table about the little feud going on between Richard Petty and Danica Patrick, if you would like to stick around for that and help us out there.
Sure.
Awesome. Well, this has been Taylor Hyatt along with Diana Clausen here with Kellie Colf, and she's one amazing lady, so check her out. She does everything from A to Z when it comes to racing. We'll be right back after these messages.
You hear that? That's the sound of America's only sports car. That's right, it's a Corvette. But not just any Corvette. It's your Corvette. It's that who cares if there's traffic part of your day. And this can be you when you come to Cooper Corvettes. With 60 years of Corvettes to choose from, there's always a Corvette in your budget. And they'll service any Corvette you bring in. Cooper Corvettes on Route 1 just north of Quantico and Triangle. Call, click, or visit CooperCorvettes.com.
Ever hire, never quit. Lofty goals in this age of shoddy quality, corporate indifference, and built-in obsolescence. It's a beacon of light in a crowded field of mediocrity. The way a company is run is an indication of how you, the customer, is going to be treated. You have a lot of choices when you're searching for auto and performance parts online and at the corner parts store. So why should you buy from Excelsior Racing? Because they're simply the best online parts supplier in the business. If you're looking for selection, ease of ordering, cost, and prompt delivery, look no further. If you have a question, our customer service hotline, staffed by knowledgeable gearheads like you, will ensure that you get what you need to fix or mod your car or truck. With 1,000 suppliers, you're guaranteed to get what you need. First time, every time. Excelsior Racing. Excellence on the track. Excellence on the road. Excellence in customer service. Online at ExcelsiorRacing.com or call 502-909-2034.
On the air, you may know me as the man about motorsports. Actually, I've been the man about insurance for over 30 years. With one call, I can cover your life, health, auto, home, and business insurance. Recently, I saved a young couple over $500 on their annual car insurance bill. No gimmicks and no green lizard. So if you think your insurer is really your good neighbor who is on your side because he is holding your money in his good hands, think again. Call me, 703-631-8000. I have dozens of insurance companies waiting to give you the protection you need and deserve. It may take more than 15 minutes, but you'll receive sound advice, quality professional service, and an honest opinion. That number again, 703-631-8000. Ask for Larry O.
This is Heels on Wheels on the PerformanceMotorsportsNetwork.com. Now, back to the fastest ladies on two wheels.
Hey guys, this is Katie from Beauty's Got Muscle. So, the Olympics are going on, and the Olympics is basically the time in our lives when we get to say our country is better than yours. I love the fact that we get to parade around and everybody kind of unites. You know, it's like a family. You know, you yell and scream at each other, your brothers and sisters all the time. Everyone's fighting. But then when it's on, we put on those stripes and those stars and we put boots to asses. Last night, I started to think about why there was no auto racing in the Olympics, because I was watching women's hockey actually very early this morning when we were stomping on Switzerland. I don't know if you guys saw that, the 9-0 game, which was awesome. I got to thinking of why there was no auto racing in the Olympics. And then I did some research. I found out in the 1900 Olympic Games in Paris, motoring was an exhibition sport as opposed to a full Olympic event. There were 16 events, but they weren't featuring just cars. They actually had taxis, trucks, motorcycles, and the categories actually included both gasoline and electric engines. And they had road rallies, cars traveling over specific distances within certain time constraints, and other events tested both the reliability and the mileage of the cars. One of the winners from the Paris to Toulouse to Paris rally was actually the founder of Renault, Louis Renault. But motoring has definitely evolved over the years, and the technology that goes into a lot of it is very advanced. And actually, in July of 2012, the Olympic Committee president, Jacques Rouge, I hope I'm not butchering his name, or Rogie. It's spelled R-O-G-G-E, so I have no idea how to pronounce it, and I apologize, Jacques. Good luck with that, phonics. Anyway, he actually met up with Bernie Ecclestone, the worst human being alive, the head of Formula One, to see and talk about Formula One as far as it becoming an Olympic sport. But Jacques said, and I quote, "Frankly speaking, the concept we are having is the games are about competition for athletes, not for the equipment. Therefore, with having a lot of respect, they will not be included into the Olympic program." Now, I definitely get what he is talking about. And also, you have the element of the cost of these cars and how much they'll run up. Like, if you think about what the other Olympic sports are utilizing, it's just standard either fiberglass sleds, just very simple. I think the most extravagant you get is the guns that they do in that cross-country skiing. That's it. I can't imagine that big block from curling being all that expensive. You go out to a mountain, you find a stone, you sculpt it, and then you slide it on some ice. But what if we remove some of those elements of complexity from cars to as minimalistic as possible and treat it almost like a spec race? Like, I think then we might have an opportunity of introducing auto racing as an Olympic sport, or even just go-karts, like just crappy little engine, you know, everybody's got everyone's running the same specs, fairly cheap equipment, so it's not going to run higher costs. And we can see equal levels of skill. But then also, I'm sure people can say that, you know, your weight plays a factor and that helps you, you know, as far as an advantage in racing. But the same thing goes in luging. You know, if the players have different weights, that also helps and affects them. So I then said, all right, for all those sea-suckers who are really mad about the idea of having an engine involved, we go back to old school ways, a little pedal go-kart. Everyone's just hauling ass with their feet, just pedaling like crazy. You definitely have to be an athlete to compete in that. I mean, to say that racing and drivers, it's not a sport and they're not athletes, I take slight offense to that. However, I'm also not an Olympic athlete and I don't train like them. So I think we solve this by taking an Olympic athlete and have them start to do some of the most difficult tasks in racing, and we take a racer and have them choose an Olympic sport that's fairly, well, all of them are going to be difficult, I'm sorry, and have them train, and we'll see how that kind of Venn diagram comes together and if it'll work or not. This is probably why I'm not in a power position in the world, because plans would probably go to shit real quick. But either way, I think the idea of auto racing in the Olympics is definitely a topic that's been talked about, and I think we'll continue to talk about it, especially as time evolves. And if we got to remove, make a few cuts to the Olympics to make room for auto racing, I nominate curling. Let's get rid of it. It's ridiculous. It's very, very boring to watch. I tried. I gave it a solid chance last night. Nothing. Got nothing for me. I would rather watch people shit while figure skating. This has been Katie from Beauty's Got Muscle. Now back to those sassy gals at Heels on Wheels.
All right. So last week we were talking about the same subject with Krista. And now Katie has put it into her segment. So this show is going downhill very fast, I think.
It always ends up in the toilet somehow.
It always ends up in the toilet. And I'm sorry that Krista is not here to hear this, because she would probably be dying right now. But anyway, on to the good stuff. Time for our racing roundtable. And this week, there's a little feud going on between Danica Patrick and Richard Petty. And I don't really know if Danica's really even involved, but it involves her. And let me read the quote. Basically, Richard Petty was asked, if Danica had a possibility of winning a race this season coming up. And he said, and I quote, "Only if everybody else stays home." All right. I get where he's going with it, and I understand where he's coming from, but did it really need to be said, ladies? Diana?
I gotta say, this is Diana over here, because I don't want anything that I say to get blamed on somebody else, because you know me. But basically, it's interesting. This actually started last year with Kyle Petty, basically making the same type of statement, saying she really had no business being involved in racing. And then he later said, but she's good for PR. And if you look at the what Richard said this year, is he added the same statement to the end of his. As he said, she's not going to win, but she's good for making money. And it makes me wonder, boys, are you guys in it for the money, or are you guys in it with the heart? Because obviously there's like father like son. So I'm not real happy with the Petties right now. Especially, and let me tell you, last year, Danica stuck with the facts when she made a retort, and the retort was, "Hey, you don't know what you're talking about. You say I'm good qualifying, but I suck at racing." She said, "It's just the opposite. If you knew what the hell you were talking about, you would see I suck at qualifying, but I kick ass at racing." So,
I want to mention the other thing that was said, and once again, I quote, "If she'd have been a male, nobody would ever know if she's shown up at the racetrack." And he made a statement that she's comparatively to one of the other drivers who is always in the back. I'm not going to lie. And like I said, I don't want to diss Danica, because she's moving in the right direction, but at the same time, she may be getting a little bit more attention because she is a female. And don't get me wrong, I'm in this business of putting women out there where they belong in the racing industry, but you also can't be put out there just because you're a woman in the industry.
She wouldn't survive if it was just being a female.
Yeah.
She has to have some driving ability.
Yeah, but if you look at her stats, and I mean, I hate to bring this up, but she's won one IndyCar race back in 2008. She's got a couple of poles here and there, a couple top fives, but I mean, she's not a front runner for sure. And they're advertising her like she is, and I think it's mostly because she's a woman.
And that's a good point, and that goes back to what the Petties are saying as well. But, I want to see them have the extra pressure on their shoulders that she has just because she is a woman. Because that's, that's going to mess with you. And I really honestly am wondering if some of what this latest little debacle really comes down to is they're just trying to psych her up for Daytona coming up, you know. But I'm really proud of her. I've never really been a Danica fan, but I have been a fan of what she's done. And I'm really proud of her because her camp had an opportunity to respond, and they didn't. And that's smart because you don't want to mess with the king. You mess with the king, you're grass.
Yeah,
So,
I think that'll put her further behind if she would say something rather than to just let it go and let them say what they need to say. And once again, I want to make it clear, I'm not dissing Danica. I understand where the petties are coming from, and for them back in the day when racing what it was, I mean, it was a lot tougher back then, and they have a point, but does it need to be said? Probably not. And like you said, I think they're just trying to psych her out because people are saying that she very well may be a front runner at the Daytona 500.
What you got, Kelly?
Well, I think it's entirely possible that it might be a psychological ploy, and maybe she does get more attention or a different kind of attention because she's female, and let's face it, she's good looking. But I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. That's really all the marketing. I think it comes down to the driving, and yes, maybe she isn't the world's #1 top runner, but you know what? There's an awful lot of racers in the United States or the world that can't do as well as she does. She's already beaten a lot of them out just to get where she is.
Damn straight.
And that's the other thing that I want to mention too, like you just said. I mean, yes, she's a woman, but that also gives her that extra push to have to work harder to even get into the offices of the people that she needs to talk to get where she is. So, at the same time, when I'm saying maybe she shouldn't be where she is, you know what? She went and she did it. So good for her. I mean, it would take a lot of guts for some girls to go out and do that. And, I mean, being an IndyCar and moving into NASCAR, that was definitely a hard change there. So, I mean...
She definitely has quite a lot of guts to have gone after what she's gone after, and hey, more power to her. Wish there were more like her.
And I mean, commercial after commercial that she's in, she's stepped into a couple of different roles. I mean, I don't know. It bothers me that this whole situation was even said because it shouldn't be women versus everybody else. It should be driver versus driver. When the helmet goes on, you're a driver.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like you said, once the helmet goes on, it doesn't matter whether you're a girl, a guy, or you're purple. It's all about how you can drive.
Yeah, I mean, I have to admit, watching some of her in-car video and some of the stuff she says when cars are trying to pass her or she's, caught up in the middle of something, it is a little funny to listen to her because she gets a little excited, somewhat more than some of the guys do. But, I mean, it's understandable because you have to think she's probably also thinking, okay, they're just getting to me. They're trying to get to me. So, final thoughts, ladies. Wrong or right? Was he to say that? Diana?
No, be a big boy, Get over yourself is what I got to say to that.
Kelly?
Yeah, I'd just say base everything on driving stats and don't worry about anything else. It's all just noise.
All right, well, thank you so much, ladies. And that is a wrap for this week's edition of the Heels on Wheels radio program. We'll be back next week with even more amazing guests. Thanks to our guests this week, drifter Ricki-Lee Clarke, and author and owner of Colf Creative, Kellie Colf. Find out more about KDP and Beauty's Got Muscle by visiting www.beautysgotmuscle.com or on Facebook. For more tailgating recipes, like Chef Sizzling Scotty's Facebook page, facebook.com/tailgategrillin with Sizzling Scotty. Our shows are now posted on YouTube, so make sure you look those up, Heels on Wheels PMN, and listen to all the shows from this year. Our hosts have been Diana Clausen, Krista Elise, and myself, Taylor Hyatt. Thanks to our production engineer and programming consultant, Bob Steele. Thanks for listening. Now let's go racing, ladies.
Heels on Wheels is a copyrighted production of www.performancemotorsportsnetwork.com, a member of the Scorpion Radio Group, Incorporated, and may not be rebroadcast, replicated, or saved in any media without the explicit written permission of PMN. Check out our Facebook page, Heels on Wheels Radio Show, or our section on the PMN website. The opinions expressed on this program are those of the host and guests and do not necessarily reflect those of the management and ownership of either PMN or Scorpion Radio Group Incorporated. Be listening next week as the fastest women on the planet rev it up and talk racing.
Baby, when you take